Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. We are here for our SmackDown recap, which took place on April 25th, 2025, in Fort Worth, Texas. This is the SmackDown after Mania. And just a precursor, I personally always have felt like SmackDown after Mania never quite lived up to the Raw after Mania kind of feel, but my personal opinion is this absolutely did. You could argue was even better than the Raw after Mania. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, and we can discuss that a little further. We kick off the show with John Cena, and he does the bit where he requested his introduction be modified and or enhanced, if you will. And he grabs the mic, and he's about to say something, but before he can really get much in, he's interrupted by Randy Orton. This is a pretty interesting segment. Randy basically says that John needs to have some kids because everyone would love to see a bunch of little John Cenas running around. And I have to admit that isn't that that made me laugh. It was entertaining, and the thought of it definitely got me. He says he can't have kids because he's babysitting the fans and us. We are his kids or whatnot. The last century, quarter century, and. And then basically Orton goes on to say, well, if you're real champion, you'll put the title on the line. Of course, John says no. But they kind of set the tables for Backlash, which I think 99% of us kind of thought that was coming due to where the location is and being in Randy Orton's hometown. So yeah, I think and then I think maybe 20 minutes later, if that, they made it official, showed us the graphic and all that. We are getting Randy Orton and John Cena and St. Louis at Backlash. So should be good. This time the dynamics have changed. I think every other time we've seen this rivalry, it's been Orton was the heel and Cena was the face, but this time we're kind of swapping that on the go home tour of John Cena. So that should be interesting. We get a bit of a weird way to go about it, but SmackDown announcers announced Fraxium and how they're debuting on SmackDown, and then they get a match, their debut match, and of course, this was a good contest as anything that if you've never seen Fraxium, anything they do on NXT usually comes with high praise from from us at least. They all. Elephant in the room, and I'm sure you know I'm going with this, but I don't understand why Fraxium was on SmackDown because SmackDown tag division is absolutely killing it, and Raw is desperate of more tag teams. But maybe there's a draft coming up. Usually about the time we do the draft, so maybe that's coming up, and maybe they'll get over to Raw, or at least we'll put the tag teams back in the appropriate spots and proportions. But yeah, with that being said, Fraxium killed it in their debut, of course, beating Angel and Berto. But yeah, this was a good match, and this is an awesome chance to start off the debut match from Fraxium. So you'd love to see that. Then we go on to Tiffany Stratton, who comes to the ring. She announces that she's not Charlotte Flair, or she's not the next Charlotte Flair. She's the person only Tiffany Stratton. She's quickly interrupted by Jade, and Jade says, "You may have beaten Charlotte, but you never beaten me." And then challenges to a match, and Tiffany gladly accepts it, which to my surprise, I thought that big of a match, could be hyped up quite a bit. Maybe Jade would be her first post-Charlotte challenger, but no, they have a match. And in terms of how the match was, it started off a little rocky. You could see that, maybe they didn't have too much chemistry, but quickly, I felt like they were gelling as the match was going on. Unfortunately, we didn't get to finish this one off because they were interrupted by Naomi, who clearly is not quite over Jade. And once Tiffany gets back into the ring, then we, staring down Naomi, Nia Jax comes in and attacks Tiffany from behind. So we basically get double interference from Nia and Naomi here, who kind of both take their opponent and stand tall. But one complaint I do have here is Nia Jax and her Annihilator that she jumps off the top rope. She's got to get better at making that look a little more legitimate. I feel like that's a few times now where she attempts that move, and you can tell she barely touches her opponent. So if she's going to use that as a finisher, I think she's got to get a little better at that. But yeah, I think maybe Nia Jax is Tiffany's new opponent, and it appears that that the Jade and Naomi is not quite over yet. Then we go on to the next segment, which has the new U.S. champion Jacob Fatu makes his way to the ring with Solo. Solo kind of says he's the only member of the family that still wanted Jacob around. Noted also that Solo was pretty good on the mic here. I guess I just always assumed that he's not that good on the mic because at one point he was the one that never talked. But yeah, he was pretty good on the mic here. But anyways, Jacob's clearly annoyed here, takes the mic and told Solo he's the one that called it and said he earned that U.S. title. He was going to bring the title home for the family. So both promos there were pretty good. And then they are shortly interrupted by LA Knight, who says he wants a rematch and he wants it now, of course. And then they're interrupted by none other than Drew McIntyre. Nick Aldis comes down to the ring and tells them that you can have a match later tonight between Drew and LA Knight. And whoever wins that will be the next #1 contender for the U.S. title. So, KP, what are your thoughts on the first half of SmackDown after Mania? Pros and cons here and overall takeaways?
Pros, I think I'd definitely start with the opening segment. Randy Orton and John Cena seem to be throwing it back to all those glory years of yesteryear. Yeah, it was great to see that again, and I think this was a nice little new chapter to the story of John Cena and Randy Orton. I especially liked when John Cena was saying how he's done a better job at raising, the fans and the universe's kids than their own parents have. I thought that was incredibly just funny to me. But yeah, I think John Cena, he really is settling into this heel persona quite nicely now, and yeah, he's he is sort of like going down the dysfunctional relationship sort of thing each and every single week, and that seems to be a main staple of his basic gimmick at the moment. But I like that he's sort of like adding little bits in here and there, and just making it seem a bit more personal wherever he's going. So yeah, I mean, Randy Orton coming out and basically just cementing himself as a permanent feature, and that Cena's more of a guest. I just think that these two do such a great job of just bouncing off one another, and yeah, they're setting up the scene for a very important and very exciting title match that's going to take place in St. Louis, and yeah, I'm definitely keen for that one. So yeah, setting the scene nicely. Very very good opening segment, and yeah, putting that WWE Championship on the line. Cena's first defense being against Randy Orton in Randy's hometown. I'm keen. I'm excited for it. The debut of Fraxium was great. I think yeah, like you said, the only thing I would criticize is the fact that they are on SmackDown and not Raw. That just seemed like a strange choice for me. I thought that, because the elephant in the room is that the Raw tag team division is a lot worse, maybe less depth, we could say, than that of SmackDown. So I think that Fraxium would have been a better choice over there. But alas, that's a conversation for the day. Like you said, the draft is coming up at some point soon, you would hope. So we could see maybe if that changes things. But yeah, for now, Fraxium, they look great as they have done in NXT for the last just over a year. So yeah, that'll be a great addition to the roster. Just keep on adding depth to that SmackDown tag division. And yeah, the competitiveness just keeps on going up and up and up. And they look good up against Los Garza. So yeah, nice way to kickstart their main roster career. And looking forward to seeing what they can achieve going forward. Then the match against Tiff and Jade. Well, yeah, you explained it pretty well, to be fair. They didn't seem to sort of gel too much in the beginning, but they did sort of get better as time went on. A couple of rough patches every now and then, but besides that, I didn't think they did too badly. Naomi getting back involved, I kind of expected. I didn't think that Naomi would just leave it there and there. I'm a little disappointed because I would have liked to have seen Jade maybe move on and Naomi gone to something different as well. But I suppose, we're not doing that. We're going to run it back at some point in the near future, I would assume. Yeah, Naomi not allowing Jade to go on to other things, so they're gonna have to finish this up first. I would wager. But Nia Jax coming back was a big surprise and attacking Tiff, because we've already been and done this. This has been done before in the past. Obviously with Tiffy's cash in and the mentorship under Nia Jax and all of that sort of situation. It seemed to finish up and it was all done. But apparently here comes Nia Jax once again. She had a bit of time off over the WrestleMania season, and now she's back again, and she wants to basically get a title back. And that's fair, I get it, but I don't know. I think I would have rather have seen someone else come out and offer a different challenge to Tiffany Stratton, something we haven't seen before. I don't know how long Tiffany's reign's going to be. I don't expect it to end just yet, but I mean, if we're just doing, Nia again, then I feel like maybe that's a step backwards. We don't need to be going there, but yeah, interesting for sure. I guess we'll wait and see how it goes out. But you made a good point about the Annihilator. I think the one that she delivered to Tiff in this segment, it did look particularly weak. So yeah, not the greatest vibe with that one. And then the United States picture with Drew McIntyre and LA Knight. I mean, it makes sense. LA Knight coming back out. He's a very proud man. He wants his title back. He didn't give in when he lost to Shinsuke Nakamura. He kept chasing and eventually got it back. This obviously is a little bit different with Jacob Fatu. Jacob and Shinsuke are very, very different men. And, I don't think Jacob Fatu's been pinned or submitted since he's joined WWE. So that obviously is quite the record in itself. But yeah, with Drew McIntyre coming out, I wasn't entirely sure about this move. I thought that maybe he could go on to something a little larger, but then I thought about the situation between Cena and Randy, and they're occupied at the moment. There's no need to get involved with that. So I suppose Drew going into this position does make some sense. But yeah, Drew McIntyre inserting himself into the situation with the United States Championship, I think, yeah, it's something we can obviously wait and see. How this match goes later on, we'll talk about it in a little bit. But off the face of it, okay. Well, at least Drew's in a title picture again, so I can be down with that. But yeah, not a bad start to the show. Pretty up and down, to be fair for me personally, but I think mostly up, to be honest. It was a very entertaining beginning.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Drew. As long as he's in something meaningful, or at least intended to be, yeah, I have no issues with him there. And yeah, the Cena, Randy Orton was great. Cena harassing the crowd, I don't think will ever get old. Feels like he's kind of bottled that up for a quarter century, if you will. And so that's entertaining. And the bit about bringing a knife to a gunfight was great as well. But without further ado, we move on. And the next match, we have yet again Chelsea Green and Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega has made her case that she deserves an actual shot, having beat Chelsea the last 2 weeks. And one thing I noted here, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, KP, is I swear in the build-up, right before we got this match, they said the Secret Service were not allowed at ringside. And I didn't even go back to look, but I swear that that's what they said. But regardless, as soon as they come out, obviously they're at ringside. So I don't know if that was like a historic clip or if that was what that was. But regardless, of course, they get involved here and eventually they get ejected. And as soon as they get ejected, Zelina Vega beats Chelsea Green for the 1-2-3 and is our new U.S. Women's Champion. For me personally, this is a pretty shocking outcome and not one I typically or really agree with. Simply because Chelsea Green's been killing it, and she didn't even get put on the Mania card, which we've discussed our opinions on that. But yeah, this one's a bit of a head scratcher, and feels like they've been doing this match like for a good month now. It feels like similar with the Michin on the as well. It just felt like we were continually doing this match, but I guess flowers to Zelina Vega. I guess she's been here quite a while and she's put in her time. So we'll see what we can do. See what we can do with her, and yeah, maybe she'll surprise us. I just personally feel like it wasn't the right time to take it away from Chelsea. My silver lining here, perhaps wishful thinking, but I feel like Chelsea Green is ready for bigger things. I feel like maybe a Money in the Bank victory would, kind of flirted with that last year, but her having the Money in the Bank with the Secret Service would be incredible, and I think everyone would love to see that. Or who knows? Maybe why stop there? Maybe a main title picture at some point as well. I think it's safe to say that Chelsea Green deserves whatever the company can give her at this point. But yeah, congratulations to Zelina Vega. We'll see what she can do with this. But yeah, a bit of a shocking outcome, and I guess that's what we should expect on these Raw and SmackDowns after Mania. Next segment, we see The Miz, and we see him backstage with Carmelo Hayes. He's congratulating him on his Andre the Giant Battle Royal with a new necklace that has Andre the Giant's face on it, all in gold, it appears. The Miz says that Carmelo has inspired him to go out and get his. So the next segment, we see Miz in the actual ring, and he's clearly upset that he wasn't on the Mania card. He says there are plenty of replacements needed, such as the injuries to Ray and Kevin Owens. and that he's main evented and all of that, and he should have been put on the card to some capacity. And then the Miz is interrupted by none other than the returning Aleister Black. So this was fun to see. Obviously, I think most people have heard the rumblings that he was making a return, and he comes in here and gives the Miz a black mass for his troubles. So good spot to see him in. Hopefully not feuding with the Miz, but if he is, regardless, it's great to see him back in WWE. Then we get the number one contenders match between LA Knight and Drew McIntyre, as transpired from the promo earlier. Pretty good back and forth. Unfortunately, the rivalries that have been going on do not appear to quite be over yet. We see Solo grab LA Knight, and then Drew McIntyre gets grabbed by Damian Priest and ends up slamming him through the announce table. So Damian Priest and LA Knight start jawing back and forth, and then Jacob Fatu takes out both of them. It appears the rivalries we had before Mania, for a good portion of them, we're not quite done with. And Jacob Fatu is clearly, standing tall, takes out everyone, and he's so over right now. Good luck to anyone trying to take the title off of him. I feel like he's kind of going to put himself in a Braun Breaker situation. Is that no one's really worthy of beating him right now, and unless he's getting moved up to the main title picture. Like I said, good luck to them. Then we come to the main event. We get the Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, and the Street Profits in a TLC match. And, I'm not going to harp on this too much because I know we've hit this many times. But in the match that should have been on Mania, here we are, SmackDown after Mania, and we're finally getting it. So focusing on the positives from here, because I just want to know who at WWE thought this was the match that should be replaced by the Raw tag division. So, but yeah, anyways, it goes without saying this match was incredible, and I think the right call in having Street Profits retain. All 6 of these guys put in everything. They really did. They made sure that this match was noted, that this match is bigger than a weekly episode of SmackDown and will likely be a top 10 match of the year. I have a hard time believing that another match will top this one over the next 7 months. So, but yeah, for all the hard work these guys have been putting in the division over the last few months, and for them to have themselves a match like this, and the Street Profits remaining on top, I think was the right call here. They've been absolutely killing it, like most of these tag teams have, but I feel like Street Profits are just a notch above everyone else at the moment. And this match was incredible. Great way to kick off, end SmackDown. So KP, what are your thoughts here on the second half of the show? Lots of action here. Zelina Vega getting that U.S. title finally, the return of Aleister Black, and the continued feuds and the U.S. title scene. I guess we didn't quite get a number one contender, so might have to wait on that. And then, of course, the TLC match to end the show.
Yeah, so lots to cover here in this second half of SmackDown. Starting with that very shocking matchup between Zelina Vega and Chelsea Green. The little confusion you mentioned earlier, they were referencing the match. I think it was last week. I'm pretty sure it was. Basically, they were just showing like a clip of them being ejected, barred from ringside, and then it was that match between Zelina and Chelsea where Zelina pinned Chelsea via the Avalanche Code Red. But yeah, that's basically just the little confusion there, because I think, to be fair, when I was watching it, my wife did the same thing, and we were like, oh no, that was the back the week before. So I do kind of see the situation there, but yeah, regarding this one itself, that wasn't the case. But I think the way it went down was quite interesting, because it seemed to be that the Secret Harvest, they've been like on form in this entire title run so far, right? Ever since Alba and Piper have been doing this shtick for Chelsea. They've been pretty much bang on the money, and this time they just seem to be completely sort of like useless in the entire matchup. And obviously being ejected, and then Chelsea gets pinned like literally moments later. I thought that was quite interesting. It was a very very easy way to nullify the Secret Service and then to isolate Chelsea to get the victory. I thought it was just maybe seemed to make them look a little bit stupid, I thought, but I don't really think it's a big negative. I think it's obviously, with the heels, they do get caught out from time to time, but I think maybe I think just the way it went down, it might have been just a little bit too in your face and a little bit too sort of like up front. But regardless of that, though, I mean, Zelina Vega, she's somebody that I think I've never really been too sort of like what's the right word I'm looking for here? It's like she hasn't been for like overly high in my estimation, but I think over the last like couple of years or so, she has been showing the odd match here and there where she's really putting in the work, and I think that just for her her consistency, coming into these matches when she's needed, I think that having a mid card title run, I think could be wonderful for her, could do her the wonders. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how she gets on here, how her title run's going to go. Chelsea Green dropping it is quite a surprise, like you said, and maybe she does have something bigger in store. I don't know. We could obviously see how that goes down the line. But I think her gimmick was like in the height of what she was doing. I think it's probably been the best work she's put in WWE so far. So whether they can keep this thing going, obviously not having the women's US title is going to be a big difference to her gimmick. But if they can make it work outside of it, then I don't mind it so much. Maybe a Money in the Bank win, whatever. We can obviously talk about that going down the line. But yeah, Chelsea's been doing great work. Shocking decision, but congrats to Zelina Vega. Interested to see how that title run goes. Then, yeah, Aleister Black coming back was great. I think I was really blown away with the fact that he actually had his old theme as well. Roots to All Evil, I think it's called. But yeah, either way, I just expected him to have some Death Rebel, 2024, 2025, silly sort of like catchphrase at the start and then going into it. Obviously, Aleister Black doesn't really have a catchphrase, but you never know what Death Rebel are going to put in. But either way, it was great to see him come back to his old theme, literally his old entrance, literally everything. It's as if like the last few years, didn't happen, and he's just like, he's turned back up again, and it's all the same. So, yeah, really excited for him. Hopefully he's going to have a good run this time. Last time it didn't work out too well for him, and I think he was given a little bit of a stiff end to his time in WWE. So, yeah, I'm got my eyes on him again, keeping my fingers crossed and just hoping that he's going to have a great run. But The Miz as a first, opponent for him, I suppose, would come back. That's not such a bad idea. The Miz is a good worker. He's happy. Well, he's good at making other people look good. So, yeah, keen to see how this one goes for sure. But it's glad to have him back. Awesome stuff. The match between Knight and Drew McIntyre. Yeah, I mean, I feel like when the Bloodline are involved, like, even though it wasn't the Bloodline's fault on this occasion, there's always the risk of, disqualifications, no contests, and I feel like those are very, very common at the moment in WWE. And we talk about this quite often, so, that's sort of like a testament to how often these do come up. But I don't feel like this needed to happen. I just feel like there are other ways of doing this. Drew McIntyre, seemingly being done with Damian Priest and then not. I feel like this doesn't need to carry on. I think we're done with that, but apparently we're not. So let's just keep it rolling. The only thing I can really think of here, and I said this when I was watching at the time, I thought that because you got LA Knight and Drew McIntyre, no decisive winner from the number one contenders match, does that mean they're both in contention? Possibly so. It could do, because Damian Priest comes in. It's neither of the guys' fault that the match ended. But then you think about Damian Priest, and obviously he's not done with Drew McIntyre, and he probably wants some more gold around his waist. So I think possibly down the line we could get maybe a fatal four-way. We could have the three chaps obviously involved here: LA Knight, Drew, and Damian, and Jacob Fatu, the champion himself. So I mean, that wouldn't sound too bad to me. So that's a positive I can take from this. But yeah, the match was good. I was enjoying it up until obviously the interference from Damian Priest, and he destroyed McIntyre, right? Put him through the announce table with that South Haven choke slam. Jacob Fatu, though, just turning up and being dominant as always, taking out everyone that was left in the ring. I mean, Jacob's been booked so incredibly well since being in WWE, and yeah, he's just incredible to watch when he just absolutely just floors people over and over and over again. It's almost a little bit addicting, but yeah, I'm keeping a positive outlook here. Fatal four-way sounds great, and whether that's the direction they're going, we don't know yet. But if it is, awesome. That sounds good to me. Then that main event, wow, It was incredible. It was a fantastic tag team match, ladder match with these three tag teams. We knew it was going to be good. We knew that. Like it was questioned as to why the Raw tag team title match was at Mania and this wasn't, and there was a very good reason, because this one was not even better than it. It was just it was just completely in a different universe to that other tag team match. As to why this one was on SmackDown, we don't know, and we'll never know probably. But yeah, either way, this was absolutely incredible. There were so many good spots throughout the contest. We had Anzo Dawkins spearing Tommaso Ciampa through a table. Whilst he was hanging off of the titles in the middle of the ring. Tommaso Ciampa would even go through a ladder at ringside as well, because that wasn't enough for him. Johnny Gargano hitting an elevated flatliner off of a ladder. Skull and Bones from MCMG through a table at ringside to Johnny Gargano. There was a whole lot going on here. So many incredible spots. And yeah, Street Profits winning was the correct decision in my opinion. I would agree with you on that one. So I think they've had how long was it? It was like 4 years or something, wasn't it, where they didn't have a title in WWE? That to me is like almost blasphemy. Like that's crazy. Obviously, the tag division was very different for a large part, being the Usos with their very long title run, historical run themselves, and then with the unification of those tag team titles, there's only really one set of titles for a long time, so less opportunities. But now with the brand split, and it all seems to be better for multiple tag teams getting opportunities, I think Street Profits deserve to hold the gold for a while, and I would love to see them have like a good number of months, like a good 5, 6, 7 months at least with the titles. I mean that's very hard to imagine because of how strong the tag team division is on SmackDown at the moment, with MCMG, with DIY. I mean, even the likes of Pretty Deadly, Fraction, who've just arrived, Los Garza, who are great workers themselves as well. So the division is stacked. It is doing very well for itself. But I would like to see these guys be rewarded for their hard work over the last few years. And they never really lost it. They were out the title picture, but they never lost the steps. So they 100% deserve to win this match and to have a good, memorable reign. So I'm happy for these guys, and hopefully that is the case. But yeah, what a match. Absolutely incredible. SmackDown was great as a whole. Obviously, I've sort of gone a little bit up and down in some parts, but I think maybe it's just sort of just getting some theories out as to what's going to happen next. And, the fan in me wants to know. So wants all the answers to the questions. But yeah, great SmackDown. Really enjoyed it. Probably on par, maybe even a little bit better than WrestleMania. Than Raw after Mania, sorry, I should say. So I'd probably give this one a 9 out of 10, to be fair. Just a really solid show. A couple of question marks, sure, but I'm sure there'll be answers sooner or later. But yeah, what about you, Nick? It was a very, very good show, right?
And I kind of alluded to that earlier. I do think this show was better than the Raw after Mania. Obviously, it was longer, so we had more time to do things. But yeah, that any show that ends up with a main event like that, and nothing really to bat an eye at before, other than just some few, question marks in terms of what's going to happen. Not necessarily a bad thing. Just shocking, and again, that's what we want from these shows in the end, anyways. But yeah, with Chelsea Green dropping her U.S. title, I think we're down to 3 champions now that have had their belts for longer than a month, and Io Sky, Tiffany Stratton, and Lyra with the Intercontinental title. So yeah, lots of new faces in the title scenes. So I'm looking forward to that. Seeing how they can do with their reigns. But yeah, with that, we will finish up this episode here, and we'll be back to our normal, more lax schedule, which typically results in 3 or 4 videos a week. I think we ended up putting out 8 over the last week with Mania week. But yeah, that was that's kind of the grand show in the wrestling schedule. So I think we all had fun with it, and I think most of you all probably did as well. And yeah, looking forward to that come next year. But for now, this has been another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. If you have any disagreements or like what we're putting out here, let us know in the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Thank you. Take care.